It was an ordinary Tuesday morning in the small town of Brookdale when something extraordinary began to unfold. Something that would not only change one little girl's life forever, but also the lives of dozens of hardened bikers who thought they had seen it all. The sun was just peeking through the clouds, casting golden streaks over the quiet streets as children hurried to school. Amid that soft morning rush, a trembling 7-year-old girl stood at the corner, clutching her faded purple backpack and glancing nervously down the street. Her eyes darted left and right, not because she was running late, but because she was terrified. If you believe that kindness still exists in this world, that even the toughest hearts can turn soft for the right reason, then pause for a moment, hit that like button, share this story with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life tales of hope, courage, and second chances. Her name was Lily, a sweet, small, brown-haired girl with wide eyes that had seen far too much fear for her age. She had recently moved to Brookdale with her mother after her parents' separation. Her mother worked 2 jobs, cleaning houses by day and waiting tables by night, leaving little time to walk Lily to school. For weeks, Lily had been trying to be brave, but every morning was a battle. A group of older kids from the neighborhood taunted her on her way to school, calling her names, laughing at her clothes, and once even throwing her lunchbox into the mud. She had tried to ignore them, but it wasn't easy when every step toward school felt like walking into a storm. That morning, Lily had stood frozen at the corner, fighting back tears. She could hear the distant rumble of engines, a deep, rolling growl that made her heart race. The sound came from the local biker bar, just 2 blocks away. Everyone in town whispered about the bikers who hung out there. People called them troublemakers, said they were dangerous, rude, maybe even criminals. Mothers warned their children not to go near them. But Lily wasn't thinking about rumors or reputations. She was just a scared little girl looking for someone to help her. With trembling steps, she turned and began walking toward the sound. Outside the diner, a group of leather-clad men were laughing, smoking, and revving their bikes. They looked exactly how everyone described them. Big, rough, covered in tattoos, with faces that looked carved from stone. But Lily didn't turn back. She walked right up to the biggest one of them all. A tall man with gray hair, a thick beard, and tattoos that crawled down both arms like wild vines. He looked down at her, puzzled, as the little girl clutched her backpack straps tightly and asked in a shaky voice, "Mister, can you and your friends walk me to school?" The laughter around them died instantly. You could hear the engines idling, the soft buzz of the morning air, and nothing else. The man, known among his friends as Bear, blinked. He wasn't used to children talking to him, let alone asking him for help. His voice, deep and gravelly, softened slightly as he asked, "Walk you to school?" She nodded, eyes glistening with tears. "Some kids, they're mean. They laugh at me. I just want to feel safe." Bear stood there, motionless for a moment. Something deep inside him stirred. Something buried under years of rough living and broken trust. He had a daughter once, or rather, had one, before she and her mother left him behind years ago when his drinking and anger got too much. He hadn't seen her since. Looking into Lily's scared little face, it was like time folded in on itself. He saw his own child there, the same innocent eyes, the same plea for safety. Without saying another word, Bear turned to his men and gave a short nod. "Mount up," he said simply. The next morning, when Lily stepped out of her small apartment, she froze in disbelief. Parked right outside were 10 gleaming motorcycles lined up like a wall of armor. The bikers stood there waiting, leather jackets shining under the morning sun, engines humming softly like sleeping beasts. Bear took off his sunglasses and crouched to her level. "You ready, kid?" he asked with a faint smile. Lily's lips quivered into a shy grin, and she nodded. As they rode down the street together, the sight was nothing short of cinematic. The sound of their engines echoed off the buildings, windows opened, and people stepped outside to see what was happening. A little girl, with a pink backpack and a ponytail, walking proudly in the middle of a group of burly bikers. It was a sight Brookdale had never seen before. The bullies who usually waited near the school fence froze as the motorcycles rolled up. Their smirks disappeared, replaced by wide-eyed silence. The bikers stopped just short of the gate. Bear got off his bike, crouched down again, and said, "We'll be right here at 3, all right?" Lily nodded, her confidence restored, and walked into school with her head held high. Word spread fast. By noon, everyone in town was talking about it. Some people were outraged, saying the bikers were making a scene. Others were deeply moved. But for Lily, that single act changed everything. The bullies never bothered her again, not just because they were scared, but because she now walked with pride. Every morning for the next week, the bikers were there, escorting her to school and back home. They called themselves the Guardians, a name Bear said made sense because everyone needs someone to guard them sometimes, even the smallest among us. Days turned into weeks. The bond between Lily and the bikers grew stronger. They visited her mother's diner, helped repair her broken fence, and even fixed her old car that had been sitting in the yard for months. Lily, in turn, began bringing them small gifts, drawings she made in school, cupcakes she baked with her mom, and tiny thank you notes. For the first time in years, Bear felt something he thought he'd lost: purpose. He stopped drinking. He started helping out more in the community. He even went back to see his own daughter, who was now grown and living 2 towns over. The reunion wasn't easy. Years of silence had built walls between them. But when Bear showed her a drawing that Lily had made of her biker angels, something in his daughter's heart cracked open too. Slowly, he began to heal. Meanwhile, Lily's story began to spread beyond Brookdale. A teacher who saw the bikers waiting outside the school snapped a picture and posted it online with the caption, "When a little girl asked for help, the most unlikely heroes showed up." Within hours, the post went viral. Thousands of people shared it, calling it the most heartwarming thing they'd seen in years. Messages of love and support poured in from around the world. People who had once judged the bikers now saw them in a new light. But the story didn't end there. One morning, Bear and his crew arrived at Lily's house only to find her mother crying on the porch. Lily was in the hospital. She had been diagnosed with pneumonia after catching a bad cold. The bikers rushed to the hospital and stood outside her room, their rough faces softened with worry. The sight of them, huge men in leather jackets waiting quietly in a children's ward, drew tears from nurses and visitors alike. When Lily woke up and saw them, she smiled weakly and whispered, "You came." Bear gently held her small hand and said, "We'll always come, kiddo. Always." From that day on, the bikers didn't just walk her to school. They became family. They celebrated her birthdays, attended her school plays, and cheered for her at every milestone. The once feared men of Brookdale had transformed into local legends, mentors, and protectors of the town's children. Months later, when a local TV reporter came to interview them, Bear said something that stayed with everyone who heard it. "People think we're tough because of how we look, but real toughness isn't in your fists or your tattoos. It's in your heart. It's standing up when someone small needs you the most." Years passed, and Lily grew up to become a social worker, inspired by the kindness she received when she was just 7. She started an organization called Ride for Hope, dedicated to connecting biker clubs with communities in need, helping children, single mothers, and anyone who felt forgotten. And every year, on the anniversary of that first walk to school, she would meet Bear and his crew for a charity ride. A line of roaring motorcycles stretching miles down the road, all in honor of one little girl's courage to ask for help. So, the next time you see someone who looks rough, remember Lily's story. Sometimes, behind the hardest faces are the kindest hearts. And sometimes all it takes is a little girl's bravery to remind the world that compassion can come from the most unexpected places. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe in kindness, redemption, and the power of love, please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more stories that restore faith in humanity. Before we end, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you saw a little girl like Lily asking for help? Your words might just inspire someone today. Because in the end, kindness costs nothing, but it can change everything.